Welcome to Shooty Supercoach. How are we, guys? Taking a look at the Cats, my side. So I reckon Geelong's actually got a few pretty good options this year. We've been pretty old the last few years, maybe last 10 years. Haven't always had the best options for some young players about to break out, but I reckon we've got a few. So as you can see across the top, got the tabs open there, so a few players I'll talk about. But Valentine's Day today, so did you have a little Valentine out there, guys? I'd love to hear your stories about that, but I did not, but lady at work, right? This is pretty funny. In the team, in my wellbeing team, she just started. She's about 50 odd. Get some flowers delivered by the partner, very lovely, today, and that was accompanied by a card. And how about this for a power play? She's like, yeah, he makes me cards, like custom cards and stuff. And on the front, "You make my willy go big." I mean, that's pretty funny for a start, but then he's doubled down. This is a card you've just sent to a workplace. Opens it up and she's like, "Oh, Shane." Dick pic. Shane-O has run with the dick pic in the card with the flowers at the workplace for Valentine's Day. You got to respect that. I don't know Shane, but part of me respects him already. So crazy times, but yeah, had a bit of a indifferent sleep as well. I was a bit buggered and been a strange night. I got home from work and normally I gym, but I've been trying to gym more on the weekends and have a bit more time to just chill after work. So I thought, no, just have a chill Wednesday. I was bloody asleep by like 6 o'clock. It was weird. Like I just fucking woke up. It was like 7:15. I was like, you know, when you have those freak out moments, and I was like, what the? It's like 7:15, but it's like, is it morning? Is it where the fuck am I? It was very strange because I'm not a napper. I don't nap much at all, but obviously needed it. So, and then I thought, yeah, let's pump out a SuperCoach vid, then watch a bit of Breaking Bad, I reckon. So let's take a look at the Cats, shall we? And like I said, I reckon we've got a couple of really good youngsters, and we need to blood a few youngsters. It's about time. But Toby Conway is the most exciting one for me. And for SuperCoach, like normally our R3, it's just a 102, ruck forward, flexibility, but him at 180k may be too good to refuse. He could be the Cats' #1 ruckman. No doubt he'll share with Stanley at times, but he's looking beast mode through the preseason, and I think from an outsider looking in, you might not know it as much, but as a Cats fan, it's just time to pass the baton to Conway. So I'm really thinking that he will line up as the Cats' #1 ruck. He may share that with Stanley, particularly immediately, or initially, I should say. But as you can see, he came in, debuted against Tim English, and certainly held his own. Like, obviously it's not a great SuperCoach score, but just being at the game and watching him, he just looked like a player that you go, gee, he's pretty raw and he's got a bit to learn, but there's a fair bit to work with there. And he just looks bigger, more confident as a player in these practice match simulations I've seen. So it's a real watch and see. I mean, it's a tough one because in your R3, it's so easy to just free up 80k by downgrading. But I really think he could be a serious cash-making option. So it'll be a bit of a toss of the coin, whether you do just save that 80,000 or pay the 80,000. And I feel like Conway can at least make you 120. He can certainly hit 300k. But if he gets through that preseason fit and firing, certainly keep a big eye on him now. Jai Clark, very exciting prospect. Will find it tougher to break into the team because Geelong's midfield is struggling a little bit. I feel like that's our weakest point. But it still has a few players. You've still got Blitzarves, Guthrie, Atkins, Dangerfield. You still got Mitch Duncan floating around. Parfitt will try and roll through there. Tanner Bruin. So there are still a few names. It's not a quality midfield anymore, but I feel like Clark should be looked at a fair bit to play. He's had some troubles with the body. We saw him come on just as a sub against Richmond, I think. Yeah, against the Tigers. And again, nothing impressive about the SuperCoach score, but if you were there, he just did a couple of things around the centre bounce and around the clearance that just made you go, this guy's a ferocious tackler and he's one for the future. So in my opinion, the Cats should be thinking all about the future right now. and he'd absolutely be in my starting 22 if he just puts together some good pre-season games. I just think if you've got the choice between a Parfitt or an older style of player versus a younger player, you just go on the young guy every single time. So he's super cheap, 123k, and it's a pretty simple equation for him. If he is named in that round 1 team, he'll be in a lot of teams. So I reckon he's going to be a good player. I certainly hope he gets a fair bit of opportunity this year. Jack Bose, bit of an interesting one this, because he was a bit popular last year and he's really at a similar price. He's probably a guy that most people just scroll past, but I just wanted to put him out there. Now, again, I'm going to reference the Richmond game that I just talked about for Jai Clark, because Bose had an outstanding first quarter. I reckon he had about 40 points in the first quarter. Now, which game was it? It was last year, wasn't it? It must have been. It wasn't 22. Because he was a son in 22. That's what are you talking about, Shorty? Where is this game? Because I was there. Am I losing my mind here? Or was it against the Blues? That's right. It was his first game. It was against the Blues. So he came on and was playing off half back and had an outstanding opening quarter. Now, at times he went forward because he had that shot late that he missed, but he turned up, and that was largely off the back of an outstanding first quarter, using the angles nicely, a couple of interceptions, and just hitting good targets. Doesn't bite too much off, but he just works those angles nicely. Mitch Duncan, Zach Tui, in my opinion, it's time for them to probably move on or find a slightly different role. We need creativity and a bit of spark off half-back. And I think Bose, while he does have his limitations as a player, has probably played his best footy off half-back. So that's who I would be placing the magnet on Geelong's half-back line. Have Tom Stewart rebounding in the air with a bit of drive, and have Bose as your kick-out guy, just being creative. So that's the way I'd play it. And if he is in that role, all of a sudden we've got ourselves a juicy little mid-price in the back line that you've got to consider. So he could be one that we never talk about again for the rest of the year, or he could be one that gets big on us and is one we have to make a decision about, because he is, I think, around 260, 270, 250, around that range. So certainly got a lot of talent. He's a lot better than that price suggests. It's just about finding the position for him, because last year he played on flanks, occasional midfield, here and there. He was a bit part player, and it's all he deserved, because he didn't really grasp his opportunity as a cat, but was a regular somewhat in the team. As you can see, played a bit of footy, but you wouldn't say it was a good year from him. So I think if he can find his feet in the side, he could be a player that we consider for our sides, I reckon. And just finally, we got Cam Guthrie. So more of a draft one, this, because he's not super cheap, around the 400 something mark. But he's a bloke that can average 3 figures. And look, he missed a lot of footy last year. And one of those guys where you sort of go, gee, he's actually pretty important to our side. You know, you sort of don't realise what you got until he's gone. Very consistent ball winner. And, you know, I don't envision him averaging the big numbers he did in 2021. But he's pretty much a lock for mid-90s, because he'll be inside mid. Pretty reliable player. Who knows? He's 31, coming off the biggest injury of his career. So, you know, you certainly wouldn't roll the dice in Classic, I wouldn't have thought. But in terms of draft, I reckon he's a definite chance to just slip a fair bit in your order. Your mates might miss him, and you can just pick him up. So, at his best, he averages in the hundreds, but I think that was pretty career best sort of stuff. I think he probably falls more in your mid to low 90s. If he really bounces back from injury well, he might get up there in the high 90s. But consistent ball winner. You'll see him at the Cats centre bounce regularly this year. So yeah, he's got to be considered, because he is certainly under the odds in terms of his value. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the Cats, because we've certainly got some good prospects in my opinion. But this season's coming up quick too. I mean, I've certainly felt a little bit busier this time around, and I've mentioned that a few times, but the videos aren't coming out as quick as I would like, and these previews are dragging on a little bit too long. But the season's coming up quick, so whether I get through all these previews like I normally do, I don't even know, because more pressing content will come as pracky games and things ramp up. So I am looking forward. It's a bit of a lull period. We've sort of talked a lot of SuperCoach, and we're just ready to see some practice matches and some real match simulation, which is starting to come through. But I think I heard Jack McRae's going to miss round 1, so that's pretty interesting as well. So yeah, watch this space. I think we'll have some good talking points to come over the next month as we really close in on the season. So cheers for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys soon.